Welcome to Garden Cafe. I'm Maureen, and this is my Central Texas Zone 8B 9A garden. Today, I'm going to be doing the October Garden Tour Part 2. And I'm going to start in the backyard and then move up on the right side of the house from my viewpoint. Let's go. I'm really enjoying how the back porch is picking up. All of the dahlias that I cut back, you can see they're starting to grow. Let me get you in closer. I cut these dahlias back in, I want to say, the end of July, beginning of August. They were very, very leggy, and the flowers were not very pretty. They were definitely getting anemic. Cut them all back. As you can see, they're all growing back. They're full. They're getting buds. They're absolutely beautiful. And then the purslane that I put in here just for some color until these grew back. They're gorgeous. I love them. They come in just about every color under the sun, and they take just minimal care for a big bang, and I love it. So you're going to see purslane in a lot of areas in my garden. This Sweet William I had behind the waterfall, and it died. I mean, dead sticks, folks. I put it on the back porch and figured, well, I'll just water it here, and it came back. I think that my irrigation behind the pond was not working very well, and I think I've fixed that, so we'll get there in a minute. This is one of the rose cuttings I did last fall. I took cuttings off of all of my rose bushes. This is my least favorite rose, but it was an experiment to see if how easy it would be to grow roses from cuttings. This is one out of the four different varieties I chose. I'm not sure if it's because of the varieties themselves and this one's just a little tougher, or maybe I need to work on how I go ahead and do these cuttings. That's an experiment I think I'll pick up again. Vinca, folks, summer, brutal heat in Texas. These are pretty options for gorgeous colors. They come in just about every color. Full, I love it, and this is exactly the look I wanted. Over here, I did more Vinca, just not next to both of these columns, just to fill in this area. And when you walk out into the back porch, it just gives you a beautiful view of that tiny waterfall. This is seeds that I got from a Rose of Sharon in Houston. This one is healthy. It's growing very, very slow. I'll show you the other one here along the back fence. Over here I have, and I'm going to bring you in closer for this one. These are albutilon, or Chinese lanterns. Prettiest flowers on the planet. They are so gorgeous. Lots of different colors. I collected these seeds from my sister's garden in Houston and planted them inside probably mid-July. They grew bigger, and so I put them out here on the back porch. These are seeds I started, moss rose seeds, and I love the moss roses in the front of my house so much that I thought, I'm going to try to grow a whole bunch of these. So this was more of an experiment because for sure I want to go with moss roses in June. And then they provide color pretty much for the rest of the summer. So this is from an experiment. You'll see them in several places also. But look how pretty. They're just so pretty, and there's so many different colors. Albutilon and moss roses. This corner, pretty much the same thing. These are dahlias that I cut back, and look how healthy and beautiful they are. They've already grown a few flowers. Now, I am trying to keep them a little bit on the shorter side. I planted them last spring, and they grew, I'm telling you, 5 or 6 feet tall. A little bit too much for the back porch. So basically what I'm doing is every time that flower does bloom, I cut it back after, after the bloom is done. I cut it back to the second set of leaves just to keep it growing low and flowering low. I like these, but for sure I need to focus on keeping these at the profile that I want. Purslane, more purslane, folks. Look at that pink. It is just so pretty. This is a begonia that I took out of the bicycle yard thing, whatever, from part 1. It was still alive, so I thought I'd give it a chance, and I put it in a little pot. It seems to be happy, so we'll see what happens with that. More albutilon. Again, folks, these flowers are just so pretty. Something's getting at these leaves. I'm not sure what they are. And then again, more moss rose. I'm not sure about the back porch, but for sure I'm going to be growing these next year for the window boxes in the front yard. Over here, more of these albutilon. Look at that color. So pretty. And there's so many more buds under here. These were so easy to harvest and to grow here. I'm definitely going to be doing that again next year. More albutilon here. It has a few buds on it. I'm curious to see what color that will end up being. I didn't keep track of the pods and the colors of the plants I took them off of. I put them all in one envelope, so whatever color is coming up is kind of a surprise. Wax begonias seem to be loving it here. The shade definitely seems to be its preferred location, and I think for sure I will do this again next year. Over here, tea roses. I need to trim a few back here. Deadhead a little bit. The red one, grew back. It died to the dirt. There was nothing here, and it grew back this year, which was a bit of a surprise. That has not happened to me yet. And so I went ahead and I bought this violet tea rose to put with it, just to see how it would do. Now, clearly, it's not as developed. But again, this is the second year for the red. This is only the first year for this color. So we'll see if it comes back. But I like the look. I like the tiny little pops of color. Back here, this is the polka dot plant, but this is the more of a reddish green color. The one I have over in the pot I showed in part 1 has the pink and green. This is the red and green, and I just like this. It's green, it's foliage, and it fills in an area, but at the same time, it gives you some color over here. I'm happy with this corner. I think I definitely will go with albutilon here. Wax begonias for sure. Actually, I like everything as it is here. I did plant some moss roses up in both of these pots. Neither, I mean, they're growing. Neither are happy. So this part of the moss rose experiment, we're not going to do that one again. But in other areas, as you saw, the moss roses are growing very pretty. Over here, more wax begonias. This one, it seems to be doing well. I mean, it's flowering. It's doing nicely. I think it would probably, now it's in sun for the second, but it gets very little sun during the day. So I think this is a good placement for it. I have another one up here that you cannot see, and I have got to move that hook. That is a 5-minute effort, I think, that will give me a beautiful result. In fact, I think I might get to that this afternoon. My beautiful tiny pond. A few people have asked, this is not a difficult thing to do. We did have someone dig the hole and put these stones around it just because it's Central Texas and pretty much you dig about an inch down and you hit solid stones. So we did have someone come in and dig that. It's really not big. It's probably, I don't know, 10 feet long and maybe 6 feet across. It's really not difficult. Pool liner underneath it. It's really, the water only comes up to my knees, maybe a tad bit over, but not very high at all. We have fish in there, and we put in this water lily, and we are getting absolutely stunning flowers. And right now, there are buds back here, but I'm going to put a picture here in the corner showing you my beautiful water lilies and when they bloom. Back here, I have had very little success. Now, there is irrigation going to both of these pots up here, and they are purslane. They are growing flowers, and they are pretty. Everything I put back here seems to die. I'm going to check that irrigation. I'll do that this afternoon as well. I mean, it's healthy, but it's just not as full and not flowering as much as I'd like it to. And I think that I discovered with the other plants that did not make it like the Sweet William, I believe that the irrigation was not functioning properly. Down here, different color of Sweet William. Oh, so pretty. I just absolutely love it. This Sunshine Gazania was stunning. I'm going to look for photos from a couple months ago. I think this, and now I'm starting to get new flowers, which is so pretty. I'll put a picture up here of that if I can find it. and it's coming back. So I have a feeling that is definitely not dead of summer Central Texas, but it survived through the worst part of the summer, and now we are getting flowers. So I think that that may be a slightly cooler weather plant. When I mean slightly cooler, I mean highs in the 90s, lows in the low 70s. But it is definitely coming back, so I'm assuming that's it. Here's my angelonium. Here I put purple, pink, and white. Right now there's some purple and pink flowers that are growing there. Let me get a little bit closer. Very pretty. I like it. It gives a lot of color, especially for Central Texas. Over here, once again, I think I have an irrigation issue. These are the Cashmere Cashmere Verbena, I believe it is. They were absolutely stunning for so long, and then of course we ended up with more drought type of weather, and they started failing and not doing very well. Now I do have a soaker hose that goes all the way through here, but clearly I don't think it's giving enough water to this area. So I'm actually thinking of running a different type of irrigation through here, hose that I can hook up, the kind that has holes every 6 inches, so that the entire area all the way across the front of the pond gets water. But for the moment, I have been spending a little extra time with the hose, making sure that this gets enough water, and I am seeing new growth. So I am happy with it. More angelonium, very pretty. These are zinnias, and they were very pretty. But when I planted them here, like these are zinnias my sister grew from seed. When I planted them here, we confused and mixed up the shorter, more compact zinnias, profusion zinnias. So that's what I thought I was putting in here, something a little more low profile with the taller ones. This one I have been trying to clip back. I do love the flowers, but it's definitely taller and it blocks the view. Although lately, folks, the view is not fabulous, but normally this area is completely stunning, and I will try to find another photograph. In the back, little boy in the wagon. Behind him, I did cuttings of coleus, which did not survive, but accidentally, apparently, there was a purslane that got stuck in there, and that one's starting to grow. I'm happy as long as something's growing in there that's going to give me color. Towards the left of the pond, I have actually, we've planted several things back here trying to get something to work. This grew, and I thought it was a Pride of Barbados until it got a little bigger, and I realized it was Thryallis. And I'll put a picture here of ours on the from the other side of the yard. Gorgeous, stunning. It's tall, beautiful flowers, so I'm perfectly fine. But we planted that 2 years ago. It died. So we planted a Pride of Barbados last year. It died. This year, something started growing back. I assumed it was Pride of Barbados, but Thryallis. And you know what, folks? I'm pleased. It can keep on going. And a bunch of mums down here. I actually planted the mums to give the base of where the Thryallis is now a little bit more shade and protection from the direct sun. Maybe that's what made this grow back. I don't know. But all of my mums around the yard have just 1,000 buds, so I'm super excited. These are Rose of Sharon cuttings from my front yard swoop. It was one of my first experiences in gardening. I took a couple dozen cuttings from the big Rose of Sharon, grew them, pretty much they all grew. I gave about 10 to my sister. I planted probably another 10. And then I gave the rest away to the neighborhood. But it's growing, it's pretty, and I love it. This is my plumbago. Absolute, it's reliable color, fills in just a massive area. It's one of the beautiful things when you walk out on my back porch and you look, you first see the pond, but then this plumbago is pretty much where everyone's eyes go to second. It really is very gorgeous, easy to grow. Really haven't had to care for it much at all. I have cut it back a little when it starts growing into the lawn, but frankly, that's it. That's all I've done with it. Over here this is just from the same batch, different tree, Rose of Sharon from Houston. that I started from seed. And you can see how much taller this is compared to the one on the back porch. Both planted at exactly the same time. This guy has not been happy. I'm not quite sure why. It did come up with one little bud that just sort of died before it opened. Oh, actually, that's a new bud. No, it's gone. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going on with this guy. I'm going to do a little bit more research, but I know they were absolutely gorgeous when I pulled the seeds off of them. Over here is the scarlet sage, more scarlet sage, and you'll see that everywhere. Unintentional, folks. Planted this in the front yard, and somehow it ended up growing everywhere. Beautiful. I like it. Gives me pops of red, although it is October, so you're going to see less and less color out of these. I'm cutting these back in a lot of areas because it does get huge and it is laying over other plants. I just love this area, folks. I call this my bench garden. Ooh, big Texas spiny lizard. Holy cow, that one's huge. I'll try to find a picture. We've got them all over. I call them dragons. They look like dragons. Anyway, back to the gardening. This is my bench garden. When I say bench garden, everyone in my family and my friends know exactly which area I'm talking about. Here is the big Thryallis, and you can see this is just gorgeous. It's wispy, it's willowy, lots of color, fills in a big area. Absolutely love it. This is definitely a go-to plant. This is the one that is growing to the left of my pond against the fence. You know what? It can get as big as it wants to over there. This one in the winter, for sure, you're going to want to cut it back around in January. Well, Central Texas, January, maybe February, because it grows new. It comes from new growth. It will not grow from the branches, the taller branches that you see here. But it's beautiful, comes back fast, blooms quick, and takes very little energy. In both of the pots, I have potato vines. Lime green on the outside, red in the center. Lime green is definitely bullying the red, but I try to cut it back as much as I can. These guys, I'll tell you, they are gorgeous. They fill an area. They are striking colors, but you have to be careful. When those branches reach the ground, they root and they will take over your garden. So these are potato vines are in the area of get them. They're gorgeous. They're full, but be prepared to be very brutal when you are giving these a haircut throughout the summer. Behind each one of them is an Ixora, and neither of them are doing very well. The one in the front yard looks healthy, but even that one's not blooming. I really have a lot more research to do on Ixora. If anyone has an idea, let me know. Back here are azaleas. And this one's not doing so well. I think it really is maybe in too much shade. This one behind the Thryallis looks very healthy and very full. I think I'm going to try some azalea fertilizer again, folks. Rest of the country, once you hit fall and you get the colder temperatures, you do not want to fertilize things because you don't want new growth that will be damaged if the nighttime temps get close to freezing. We're in Central Texas, and as you can see with my sweating, we're in the 90s still during the day and in the 70s at night. So we have another, could easily be 2 months of a growing season. So I will fertilize these with specific azalea fertilizer just to see what happens. My sister did in Houston. She fertilized hers last month, and hers are blooming right now. So I will give it a try. This is my dining room window garden. This is, as you walk through the front of my house, this is the first big window you look out. My goal, and this is a fairly new garden. This garden isn't even a year old. It was a no-till garden my husband and I made, and I'll put a little photo or video showing that. So this is all just brand new, seeing how things go. Pentas, strangely enough, I got it just because I thought the color was so pretty. But it is getting taller, and when you're walking by, you're starting to see some of that color. This was a bare root fire and ice rose, but as you can see, they're yellow roses. So it was mismarked, but you know what? I think the yellow roses are absolutely gorgeous. I'll put a close-up of this one here in the corner. It really is very pretty. Over here, we've got different vincas. The confetti vinca and the traditional red and orange vinca. Big color, big bush, definitely worthwhile in a hotter climate. And then all of the profusion zinnias down here. I love how these have been growing in my yard, and for sure I'm going to get them in just about every single color. If you watch part 1, you'll see I've got a lot of the raspberry profusion zinnias in the front yard. They are just so worth it. This is a volunteer vinca that came back. You know what? Fills in a spot, gives me some color. I am pleased. Over here, we've got celosia. I think my sister just brought like 200 seedlings last spring. And it is entirely possible that I put one of them here. And look at that. It's very pretty and it is blooming. So I'm kind of pleased with it. This here is a Vitex. And man, I will put a picture here of what those look like when they are grown. When you drive into my neighborhood in the spring, those Vitex are in full bloom. These beautiful trees with gorgeous purple blossoms, which is what I want. So frankly, this one, I planted it here with the intention it can take over this entire corner of the fence. I am absolutely thrilled. The only thing I'm doing is I am breaking off branches and leaves at a lower level because my intention is to make this a tree, which will actually give me more shade garden options under here when it gets more, grows more full. This, again, was one of my newer no-till gardens. My husband and I basically just extended the dining room garden all the way down. My intention here was to have, this was going to be my cut flower garden. This is where I was going to come out every single day, cut flowers, bring them in, put them in vases, beauty. Did not work out. Wasn't their fault. You have to cut the taller zinnias. They are cut and come again. If you cut 1, 2 more will grow. If you cut those 2, 4 will grow. I mean, they are absolutely fabulous. They give all year round. I was gone for a while and neglected this entire area, and they grew like 6 feet tall with just very anemic flowers on top. My fault. Cleared them out. I dropped in new seed last month. I'm starting to see a few little signs of growth. We'll see some weeds, obviously. Starting to see a few signs of growth. So I'm sort of hoping, I don't know, November, I'll actually have some. But for sure this area, I'm going to stay on top of next spring into the summer. Make it beautiful because, boy, I do want those cut flowers. My sister goes out every day, cuts a bunch of gorgeous big zinnias, Benry's giant, and just fills vases in her house, and it's absolutely beautiful. Here is these are rose bushes. This is a soul sister rose bush, which I cut down. It was literally as tall as the house, and it was growing roses, but the roses were 10 feet in the air, and you just couldn't see them. So I have recently cut that back. This is a Texas Texas rock rose. Very pretty, kind of an odd habit. It grows these gorgeous little pink flowers, but it will be pink flowers throughout the entire bush. And then all of those die, and then you have nothing for a couple of weeks. And then suddenly it comes out with 1,000 new pink, rock roses. I like it. It's beautiful. It's full. It's thick. Now, again, the zinnias over here really shaded this, and it was a very unhappy plant when I took the taller zinnias out. But look at it now. It is huge. It's definitely healthy. Starting to bloom. So I'm hoping another bloom cycle starts soon here. Again, zinnia was the intention. And then over here is the Savannah rose. This poor little guy has been getting hit by thrips. I need to treat it again. It's not the happiest or the healthiest rose bush, but it's better than it was. Again, when the zinnias, my fault, were 6 to 8 feet tall, this got very little sun. So taking those out. It definitely has a lot of new growth, but I am going to treat it because it seems like a lot of these flowers are getting hit by thrips and they're eating the buds before it ever does grow. This is the blue suede sage. Oh, more vinca. Vinca is just one of those go-to in Texas. They grow wild. Blue suede sage, I want to say. I love it. This used to be my pumpkin patch garden, which grew all the way out into the yard. I love it. I think it's beautiful. It fills in an area, but you do have to, if you want a path to get through, you do have to keep up with cutting this back. But overall, I'm pleased and I'm happy with this area. And in here, as I said, I'm going to be working more on better plans for next year. 2 bearded iris, I bought them. Got 1 gorgeous bloom. I'm going to look for it and I will put it in the corner. Definitely worth it. I haven't touched it. I've been debating whether I should cut those green leaves back or not to let the energy go back into the bulbs. But it has new growth and it's got new leaves. So I'm going to leave that one alone, and that's another one on my research bucket. This was the first huge no-till garden my husband and I did. I'll look for a little short video. This entire area from the fence line to the path, all the way back behind the tree to the other side, and we'll get there in just a minute. But this is the first big one we did. I moved 3 of the clerodendron babies that were growing from up the fence. They did not appreciate even the minimal sun they got farther up there. I knew they'd be much happier back here. This is a complete and total shade garden. The caladium, they seem to really enjoy life back here. Getting a little leggy, falling over, but these guys, yeah, I'm looking forward to what they're going to look like next year. I planted hostas between the caladium. Folks, the hostas did 0 for me no matter where I put them in my yard, so not sure where I'm going with that. Everything up here, I have kalanchoe. I had a hibiscus, which is just a dead stick now. Some wax begonias, the angelonium. I think this entire area just didn't get enough water, and I believe these guys are the culprit. The sprinkler head is behind them, and my guess is the sprinkler's hitting the underside of those leaves and then dropping straight to the ground, which is making these gorgeous, but not these. So I think in addition to running the new irrigation hose in front of the pond, also, because the irrigation line goes to those pots on either side of the bench, I think I'm going to run another line off of the same water line and run it through here, the kind that it's got holes every 6 inches. And I'm just going to run it through around these different areas just to see how, what difference it does make in this area. But I think a lack of water is the problem here. This is another new addition that my husband and I put in here. It's a black diamond crepe myrtle, and these grow the most gorgeous red flowers. It's funny because when we bought it, it grew these lilac-y looking flowers that were gorgeous, but the red with the dark leaves as a background are absolutely gorgeous. We're training this though to become more of a tree than a bush, just breaking off the bottom leaves and the bottom branches, because looking out of the dining room window, I don't want there to be a lot of blocking the view from the garden, the new no-till garden my husband and I created. My sister Teresa bought me this arch, and we put it back here as just an entrance to the side yard. Absolutely love it. This side, trumpet vine I put, and if you look up there, you can see there are some flowers starting. Woohoo! And on this side, I put the jessamine, the yellow flowers, and as you can see, they're sort of crossing over. I do have solar lights that light up at night for this. However, that one is not working, so no lights on this side, so I need to replace that. But I love this entrance, and I love how it's growing. We just did this year, folks. This is less than a year. Probably 6 months, 7 months of growth. My guess would be less. Now, I did plant the dahlias. Oh, look at that bee. Did plant the dahlias here on both sides. I'm not real happy with that choice because they got so tall Next year, since the profusion zinnias seem to love my yard, I want to put profusion zinnias at the base. I do want color at the base, but I want the focus to be on the vines and the arch. This is my kaleidoscope butterfly bush. It's so pretty. I did have a jacaranda tree here, and it just died over the winter, like dead stick died. It was done. I think it's just the wrong tree for Central Texas, but boy, I would have loved to have seen that thing grow. Anyway, I wanted something in here that would fill in this area because it's a big expanse of lawn. And the jacaranda tree, as I said, was sort of the vision that I had created. So I wanted to go with something big, colorful, not a lot of work, and butterfly bushes definitely seem to be it. The kaleidoscope color is just stunning. When we bought it online, just to let you folks know, what we got was 3 sticks that looked like dead sticks. My husband was like, you need to send those back. Nope. Planted them in the ground, watered them, fertilized, and folks, this is what I have 6 months later. Imagine what this is going to look like next year. It's going to be absolutely stunning. Over here is my stonehead garden. Seriously, folks, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I tell you what garden I'm working on. Planted dahlias. Everything I planted here has just died. It's been pretty for about a second, and then it all just dies. This area, I know there's a liner in here. There used to be one of those overflowing urns underneath here, like in a little cave when we bought the house 20 years ago. The water stopped working, and everything in here just filled in. The jasmine just filled in. So that is no longer functioning. However, I think it holds a lot of water every time it rains or the irrigation system goes off. I mean, there is a liner under there, so I'm assuming it holds water. So water is not the issue. This area is kind of funky. Half the year it's in just serious shade. The other half of the year it's in brutal sun. Dahlias seemed to grow perfectly. They're absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to cut a few of these and put them in bud vases in the house. But I want to move the dahlias that are here to the outer edges, and I want to come up with a lower profile. You know, folks, I may end up with profusion zinnias in here too. We will see. But something lower profile in the center, and then move the dahlias to the outside edge. See if that works. This is the other side of the very large no-till garden that my husband and I made. This path literally takes you all the way around to the other side, towards where the bench garden is. This is my coleus garden. When we created this, it was very clear this was going to be a complete shade area. And my sister started 1,001 different varieties of coleus. Absolutely gorgeous. And she brought, again, like I said, 200 seedlings. So back here, we focused on the coleus. This is the look I wanted, and you can see it from part 1. This is the look I wanted for along the fence in the shade area. For some reason, the coleus did not appreciate that area, and the plants are not, nothing you look at and go, oh my goodness. This is the look I would love along the fence on the other side of the yard. I will figure it out. Why does it grow so gorgeous here and has so many issues on the other side of the yard? In this area, from earlier, an earlier video on amaryllis. All the amaryllis that I grew last year, I planted out into the garden. And then first week of September, you pull them all up, harvest them. They are currently in a dark, cool location in my house, drying, believe it or not, 2 months. You cut off the leaves, you cut off the roots, put them in a box, let them dry. In the first week of November, I'm going to be waxing half of those and planting into pretty, Christmas pots, so that they will be blooming for Christmas and absolutely gorgeous. So I called this my Christmas garden. Back there you can see is a poinsettia. I debated whether to dig that up, put it in a pot, and try Again, put it in a cool, dark location for it to grow the gorgeous red leaves for Christmas. I didn't. I will, since that's my only one, I don't want to experiment. It's growing well. It seems to like this area. I'm going to leave it alone this year. Gomphrena, I wanted pretty. The amaryllis wasn't ugly. It grew these tall green leaves, but there weren't any flowers or anything throughout the summer. So my sister, again, Teresa, planted a ton of Gomphrena, which has just given me color and made everything look so pretty over here. And once again, the lantana. Oh my gosh, I think I called it something else. This is over there. Lantana, which just grows crazy all over Texas. So this offers me a little color in this area. And it added to the beauty during the summer of all of those leaves. Back there are more clerodendron. Not a whole lot of flowers this year from any of my clerodendron. This one has given me a few, and I'll put a picture. I'll find a picture of when that was blooming. Not a lot this year. So man, folks, my list of let's do research keeps getting longer. This is an area my sister and I, this was a garden back here, and then there was a break of grass. And then this oleander bush was there. And then past this was when more plants started. My sister Teresa and I put bricks along here and did an entire no-till garden, basically just curving this corner out. So again, brand new garden. I've been very happy with how this has looked so far. I've got drift roses, again from my sister Teresa. Profusion zinnias, again folks, so many different colors. I'm going to overuse those next year. Some dahlias back here that just got crushed by the crazy July storms here in central Texas. I did stand up and plant because folks, they were underwater. So they were literally on their side, bulb in the air. Replanted them and they are starting to grow back, which is kind of interesting. Oh, Mr. Squirrel. Two of the terracotta pots are, again, from the neighbors next door who moved. They left us just so many of these gorgeous, big, heavy pots, outdoor pots. So I've got petunias. This was an experiment just to see if it would actually work. And folks, it is. Usually petunias do not do well in central Texas. But it is getting a little bit cooler, and I decided to try it back here in this. This is primarily a shade garden. And this coleus that I put in this other pot. So I like how this area is looking. Again, it's first year. Seriously need to come in here and either put more cardboard down in soil or just really work on trying to get this grass out. But for the most part, the rest of it, the no-till gardening worked. Over here, this is another very large pot from the neighbors. I put cineraria right, that's the part that's growing up, and I'll put a photo. Very beautiful. Expect that to bloom this fall. And this is lemon coral sedum. I wanted some kind of green that was spilling out of the pot. Happy with that. Cineraria is nice, but I think I want something in here that's going to grow more flowers. It also has irrigation. The tube is running through and up through the center, so it's being watered from inside. But I want another option. This oleander, folks, love it. Used to bloom absolutely stunning. We had a serious freeze, like very unusual freeze in Texas several years ago, and it did a lot of damage to some of my perennials. We lost a lot of bushes and trees. This one seemed to come back. You can see it is healthy. It is strong. It is growing. I have had one flower, gorgeous, but one flower out of that in the last 3 years. So, and I have tried fish fertilizer. I have tried a lot of different things. For the moment, I'm just going to let it go. It fills in an area. It's a pretty leaves. I'm pretty much fine with it. Over here is, again, cuttings from my Rose of Sharon from the front yard that are getting a little bit taller. I would love it if this covered this entire area of fence. That would be so fabulous for me. Back here are some sunflowers. They are Mexican sunflowers. Frankly, it's kind of odd, but they're on their way out. They've done all they're going to do. So I may be pulling that. I've pulled a lot of my sunflowers out. Over here, a few more dahlias. This one is starting to bloom, which is just, oh, so pretty. And then over here is our pink drift roses. The drift roses have been up and down for me this year. Again, remember, as I said, this entire corner garden was underwater in that July storm. Neither of the drift roses were really happy being stuck under there, but they're coming back. The plants themselves look healthy, so I'm good with that going forward. Well, that's it for part 2 of my October garden tour. I really hoped you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please hit subscribe, like, and share. It helps me to grow my channel. Have a wonderful day.